Hi everybody, welcome to my Flosstube channel. I'm Deb, I'm the Traveling Stocking Stitcher, and I'm so happy to see everybody. We've got some new faces out there. The last video that I did got a lot of new subscribers off of that. It was a video about a comprehensive guide for loading and tips and tricks for stitching Chatelaine Designs in Pattern Keeper. And so there was a lot of interest in that, and so welcome to those who are new to the channel, and for those who are longtime viewers, glad to have you back as well. It's always good to see you. Now, as a result of that video last month, not only did we get some new viewers, but I was also contacted by Ella, who is the daughter of Martina Rosenberg, the designer of Chatelaine Designs, and she was interested in putting procedures up on her website. And so the materials that I covered in the video I put together in a document, and she was kind enough to host them on her website. And so I even got a copyright out of it, so I'm a published author, I guess. So the way to get access to that is if you go to the chatelaine.de website. This is the website where they sell the PDF copies of Chatelaine Designs. But then you can also, there's some other resources and information that's out there that's very useful if you're doing a chatelaine. So if you go there and click on the three little lines next to the menu, open that up, and you want to click on the FAQ/contact/resources. And when you go in there, there's a choice. You want to click on the resources, errata list, materials list, suppliers. And when you do that, you will see, if you scroll down a little bit, it'll say Pattern Keeper Instructions. And when you click on that, it will download a PDF that you can use. It's got a table of contents, so you can click through and find the things that you want to look at of interest. So it's really a companion piece to the video that I had done. So if you're one of the people that likes to read as opposed to visualize, or if you've gone through the video and you want to be able to go back and reference easily different parts, it's a great resource for that. So thank you, Ella, for putting that out there, and I thank you all that were interested in that topic. So I have a lot of chatelaines to show you today, and I've called this episode A Mandala, a Plan, a Canal, Venice. You know, the old palindrome, a man, a plan, a canal, Panama, same backwards and forwards. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, mandala, I do have a plan for how I'm going to finish completing this project, and there are canals in Venice. There's not a chatelaine that has Panama, and I haven't been to Panama, so close enough. And we don't know if the Panama Canal will still be the Panama Canal the way things are going, so who knows. So I have a fun fact about that palindrome. A man, a plan, a canal, Panama was created in 1948 by a British palindromist. Who knew that that was a career choice? That I'm not sure what the gig pays, but a guy by the name of Lee Mercer in 1948 created it. The man was Teddy Roosevelt, who was the president at the time that the Panama Canal was getting started building, and he closely supervised that. So that's your fun fact. I also have a headless chicken to show you. It's a long story, but I'll show you. So let's get started looking at the Venice Chatelaine. The last time I showed you, I had a milestone. I had finished all the cross stitches on it. And when I started doing this, you know, you start at the center and you kind of work your way out. And it's one of the old class files that has motifs that you stitch. And when I was first doing it, I didn't have enough confidence to do all of the specialty stitches. I was going to wait and do those at the end, just like the beading. And as I got further out, I started saying, oh, I feel pretty good about this. I'm going to tackle some of the specialty stitches. They weren't that hard, and I felt pretty comfortable about it. And but I did everything else. I kept doing the specialty stitches as I got out to the outer edges. But that meant I had to go back into the middle portion and do the specialty stitches, which I did recently and got those all finished as well. So now it's just down to beading, so that's very exciting. So here is the whole shebang, and then I'll get closer to show you the pieces that I've done. So, and you see at the point, it was actually the windows when I started to say I'm going to do the specialty stitches. So the windows that go all the way around the middle there, that's the point where I made the decision to start doing specialty stitches. So the part that I've done then recently is in here. So I can't quite see what I'm looking at here. So Alright, so we've got, I did do the back stitching around what they call the Venetian mirror in the middle there. So that was something I didn't have to go back and do. Then these corners up here, let's see, right here, are diamond, I'll put it up on the screen, I can't remember what it's called. Diamond, I don't know, I'll put it up. But the way she had them done, or the chart, the way the chart showed, it just showed half as much stitches, and I just went and fluffed them up a little bit so that they covered every corner, because they were looking, and I'll put a picture of what it looked like before, where you can see one corner versus the other corner and see the difference, because it was showing some of the fabric through. So I just made them a little thicker. And then I've done, each side here has trees here and some scroll work around by the trees, at the base of the trees. So each one of the corners has different kinds of trees. I really have trouble pointing in this thing. And if I turn this around a little bit, there's different kinds of trees in that corner and different kinds of trees in that corner. And then, oh, I forgot to mention I did the gold stars all in the middle field around the Venetian window here too. So, and then it was time to tackle the dreaded Jessicas. I'd done little Jessicas on my Lake Como piece, but I haven't done any big Jessicas. And I think I might do a separate video, because I had to go and draw things out on a piece of paper, and I tried it a number of different ways until something finally clicked with how to do them, and I started stitching them and it made a little more sense. So one of those things might click for you, different things works for different people. So I'll maybe kind of show you what I did charting them out, but I'm not ready to do that today. So you see these green circles, right? So all around the perimeter here are these green circles. So those are Jessicas. Those are not real huge ones, but they look okay. And then each corner here has a different colored Jessica. So I did those 4 as well. Oops, so it didn't take long, maybe a couple of days, 3 days maybe, to go back. And then there's still a lot of big blank spots like this here. Those are all beads. And like the middle is almost here. This is almost all beads. And what else? There's one where the trees themselves, this corner here. Yeah, this corner here. It still looks like I didn't stitch these, because those are not specialty stitches. These are actual beads that go in that one as well. And then this big round spot there is beads. And there's beads all around, you know, everywhere else that you see holes, pretty much beads. So that is my plan for a Canal, Venice Mandala. Another one that's gotten quite a bit of activity done on it. You haven't seen me in a couple of months, at least by stitching you haven't seen it in a couple of months, because I did that video on Pattern Keeper. You didn't see my stitching, so I've had a chance to do a bunch of stuff, so it looks like I've been really productive. So this is Lake Como Mandala, and last time you saw it I had the middle pretty much done. I think there's some back stitching that I need to do in that really round center piece, but I have done the specialty stitches other than that. In the middle I've learned my lesson. And then here are the very first Jessicas I did, these little tiny purple ones. And those were fun actually. These, I don't have such a hard time pointing today. These purples right here. And I think last time I did it I had half this villa outlined or backstitched, and moved on from that to do the gate. And the gate I had done last time as well, but I didn't have, turn it like this so you can see, there we go. See the lanterns over the gate? And boy, Martina knew what she was doing when she did a lantern. I've got 3 charts that have lanterns on them, and there's one's better than the next. And then I did this kind of corner medallion that has swans in it. Now the color was supposed to be an aquamarine that was surrounding the swans, kind of the sky part. But boy, at least the segment, it was a variegated floss, and the segment I was using every time was just white, and you could not for the life of you tell there was a swan in there. So I did backstitch the swans, and I'm glad I did. They turned out very cute. I like them. There is over one. This is the first over one I've done on a chatelaine. This part right up here, and it's yellow, and I don't know, it doesn't really, it kind of just blends into the background. I'm not sure if it was worth the effort, but I think those are cute little swans. And then I've completed, whoops, nope, I just can't figure out which way things are going. Everything's backwards on the camera. All right, so this is the other villa. I've not backstitched that one either, but I've got most of that done. I ran out of some floss. There's a couple of holes in there, and while I was waiting to get floss, I just kind of moved on and started working on something else, so I wasn't finished backstitching that one either. I'm going to pay the price because I'm going to have to go back and backstitch everything all at once, so I know. And then I started villa number 3, so I've got that one probably a good halfway done, and a little bit of a start on that gate in between those two. So this is on 32 count Azure blue, and it's an even weave, and it's been pretty easy to stitch on. I wanted it to look like water, like Lake Como, and so it's been pretty easy to stitch on despite the fact that it is kind of a darker blue. But I would call it 807 is probably the closest, because there is some 807 here when I stitch with it. I can barely see it on the fabric. So that's about what this color ends up looking like if you're familiar with the DMC. I figure I'm probably close to 50% on this. So, and you know, if I'm thinking about whether or not I want to do, I'll put a picture of it, but there's around the outside, let's see, these kind of things right here. There's a bigger version of this kind of overarching all the buildings that goes around the perimeter on the outside. And I don't know, I'm not a big fan of green necessarily, and it would make it smaller and it would make it less stitching, and you know, it seems a little bit more repetitive. So I'm not positive I'm going to stitch those. So I'll have to see. I'm still thinking about whether I want to do that or not. There's some urns and stuff that look kind of nice, but I don't know if I want to restitch all that green stuff again. So another chatelaine. I haven't done a ton of this one. I picked it up again the other day and did a little bit more, but this is Pompeji Mandala Chatelaine Design, and so the part I have done again is in the middle here. I've done a little bit more of the perimeter around here that I hadn't done before, so not a ton of work on it. This one I think is about 31%, no, 32%? Yeah, about 31.65% is what this one is. This one is in that Pattern Keeper, so I know, and it's not a class one, it's all in one big thing, so I don't have to worry about page breaks or anything like that. So one thing that I didn't mention last time when I showed you this, I had put it on here, I'll put the chart up, but there's this light blue, there's some solid light blue, and then there's some 10 stitches or half stitches kind of going out from there, and it really wasn't showing up that well, and it didn't really add a whole lot. You see over here the light blue is kind of the same light blue, and it just, I think because of the kind of orangey background, this is 28 count Midas from Picture This Plus, and it just wasn't looking right, so I didn't bother putting that in. So I'm going to leave that off. That'll save me some stitching as well, so I'm probably a little bit better than I thought it was in terms of completion. So yeah, so that is Pompeji Mandala. Next up is a sale that I've been working on, and yes, I have been keeping up with the sale. I usually don't do a lot of sales because it just doesn't seem like my kind of thing, and I don't think I'd be really, like to be told what to do. So, but this one's been fun. This is a Water Garden is the name of the chart. It's a sale that's been hosted by Amy, who is Fiber Arts Amy, and Maggie, who is Kitschy Whips, and they're trying to get people acquainted with chatelaines and stitching more chatelaines. So in January they started this. It's been the 3 months now, January, February, March, and it's really pretty. I'm doing this on a 28 count Celestine from Picture This Plus, and it's a very pretty design. And this is such a cool effect, these variegated diamond eyelets. Diamond eyelets, I think that was the thing I was trying to think of earlier. So, yeah, very nice effect. These blues are MPIs, but boy, you could use the DMCs and not be any the wiser for it. And a little overachiever here, I did a little bit more because I still had floss, so I'm going to be well positioned for when April comes out. So, yeah, it's been a very fun design. I think this one's about 28%, something like that, done so far. So I've got another chatelaine that is actually quite a bit far along since the last time you saw it. I had just started this the last time I did a stitching Flosstube. So I had some of the middle done. I don't think I even had the whole middle piece yet. And so here's a little bit more. This is done on the same fabric that I used for my Venice Mandala. This is a 32 count, or 28 count. 28 count? Again, I'll have to put it down there because I can't remember anymore. I think it's a 28 count. It's an even weave Jobelan. I'll put it down below because I can't be trusted to know what I'm doing. Alright, so here we are. And so really pretty. This it's called a queen stitch in here. And again, I wish I could remember what it's called. I'll put it in the notes. But it's it almost looks iridescent. It's quite a cool effect with what's on there. So so this is the outline. And then I actually started doing the bottom half, so I'll spin it around here. So I've done the first garden. There's 4 gardens that surround that middle piece, and they're all a little bit different, and then they've got this really pretty flowery border around the edge here. But each of those 4 that are on there are just slightly different versions of the gardens. And one tip that I have for you for chatelaines and pattern keeper that I didn't include in my video, it is in the document, but I didn't think about it until I started stitching this one. You see how many greens that are in that? These are all greens, basically. Everything in here is green. And on Pattern Keeper, when you search for a symbol, it highlights them. And of course, when you complete things, it makes them the color that they are. And so as you stitch more and more green, it becomes a little bit harder and harder to find that search, which boxes are filled up with a search, the default green, because they kind of blend in. So a thought that I had is you can switch the color of the search. So the way to do that is you go into Pattern Keeper and you go into the settings icon, the little gear icon at the top there, and you choose that you want to change the search color. And you see the green color shown as the default. And so you go in and select the color. I was using a bright pink because that made it really stand out when I was doing the green stuff. And you can change it, many times as you want as you're doing different parts of the chart. And then if you want to go back, that neon green is kind of easy to see, so if you're doing something that isn't so green, you want to go back. It's not clear out of the choices of greens which one it is, but if you go back into the settings and say you want to change the search color back, click on the custom from the select a color screen, and then enter the code of the default color, which I will give you here because you kind of need the code if you want the exact color. It's 59EE73, 59 Edward 73, and put that in the number field and press select, and it will go back to the old color. So you just kind of have to write that down somewhere so you can go back if you really want to, or you can play around with the selections to pick a different color if you want. But I had trouble recreating that exact color just out of the choices there. I also have a telephone booth over here. This was fun to stitch. Nice red telephone booth. And then the guard's hut here, guard's house. And that was fun to do. There we are. I still have some gold to put around here, some gold backstitching and stuff. But one thing I did is his hat. If you see the chart, his hat is like as big as his head. And usually those guys have the big tall bearskin hats. And so I had plenty of clearance room. There's nothing else that goes into this guard's house besides that. And so what I did is I got some whisper and I did satin stitches, and it only took about 6 satin stitches, and I made it taller, and that's about my limit on using whisper. Big old satin stitch 6 times, you're done. So probably could have even gone a little bit taller. So, but he was fun to do. So I think I need a little more back stitching on his face, so a different color of face outline, but he's pretty much done. And then there are buildings around there. I like to stitch buildings. I like to stitch places I've been, and this I believe to be the British Museum. I don't have the back stitching complete on this one, but there wasn't a ton of it to do because they have these lanterns. I wasn't quite sure what the buildings were for most of these were obvious, but this one's a little bit nondescript. But I think, judging what the British Museum looks like, which I'll put a picture of, you can do a comparison. So one thing that was kind of odd on the chart, the flag, it had a flagpole, but there wasn't a flag on it. And elsewhere there are flags on top of other buildings, but sometimes they weren't always aligned with the flagpole. I'm not quite sure what was going on there. So I just took one of the other buildings and used the flag. It's hard to tell that it is the Union Jack, but it's got some blue and white. It's over one, and it's got blue and red and white in there, so I used that. And then I was talking about the amazing job that Martina does on lanterns. And here is a fantastic lantern. I'll put it over to the side and I'll put up a picture of what a lantern looks like. And you can see, I mean, just how spot on this is. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous work that she does. So kind of go closer up. I haven't been holding these things real close to the screen, and I need to do that better. To do that, I can't see what I'm doing though. So those are the chatelaines that I have been working on. I have a couple of other things that I have done. I'm going to be going to the Queen City Stitch Retreat in October, and Nora Corbett is the guest designer, and so I've been working on a memorabilia, and when we have our Zoom meetings once a month, I pull this out and work on it. This is called White Christmas, and I want to create her into a stocking. You see I've got it kind of basted here around where because the dress kind of flows off to the side. So only problem is there's a building that kind of goes down and kind of negates the whole flow of the dress off the side, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do about that, but otherwise I'll just stick something on the toe or just leave it without something on the toe. I don't know. But here's the colors, and a little bit more done than the last time you saw it. It's been a while since you've seen it, but I've done a little bit of filling. And really, you know, once you get kind of the perimeters done, you can just go in and fill, and it's really kind of a quick, easy stitch. It's, you know, again, they can be kind of intimidating as well when you look at chatelaines, or mirabilias, but, you know, yeah, they've got beads on them, yeah, they got some metallics, but not that intricate. I don't know if they have a ton of specialty stitches, so. But that is that. This is on a 28 count, I don't know, pistachio, that much I do know. So I think it's a 28 count pistachio. Linen, Belfast linen. Another one I've been working on, kind of my to-go piece. Had to take my neighbor to the emergency room. Hi Katie, I hope you're feeling better. But while I was waiting for her, this is my go bag. So this is Stitch Rovia Venice. So you can start to see that gondola taking shape here a little bit more. And so this is just my grab and go piece. So I should know how much percentage that is. Although I can't really tell you. This is the one I talked about before, where I put it into Pattern Keeper and like one of the pages wouldn't go in. So my count is not accurate anyway. So now it is time for the headless chicken. Didn't mean for it to be headless. I kind of wanted to have it done because spring is coming up and he's really an Easter chicken, and but I wanted this video done, and I wanted the chicken done, but I wanted the video done more than I wanted the chicken done. So He doesn't have a head. He's missing a couple other body parts too, but you can sort of tell he's a chicken. This is Wee Chicken. This is from Heart and Hand, and I picked this up off the freebie table, I think, at the Queen City Stitch Retreat, and this is one that it checked all the boxes, because I've been looking for something that is spring-related, Easter-related. Chickens fit the bill for that, and is kind of small, and the reason is I had done a series of bird-related things that they're mostly Lindy Stitches designs, but I also had found this fantastic frame that is a bird frame, and it's got bird feet, and it's got a 4.5 by 6.5 inch screen frame, and so I've done a series of these, and they're seasonal too, so I would switch them out depending on the season, but I don't have one that goes for spring or Easter or whatever. So right now we're getting over winter in Minnesota, and so in January I use a change in latitude would change my attitude. I did a video about this, I think it was number 22 episode, I don't know. Again, if it's wrong, I'll put it down below, but I think that was the episode. So a lot of these Lindy Stitches ones were perfect, and you know, bird feet frame doesn't get any better than that. So I put this one up in January, and then I have in May, time for beach weather. Be kind to your web-footed friends. I've got seagulls. And then in June, July, this is the one that kind of started it all. I loved her blue-footed boobies. And the blue-footed boobies, they do the little mating dance in the August-September time frame. So that gets replaced when the time comes with that. And then come September, it's time for Talk Like a Pirate Day, and the parrot wants to know when is Squawk Like a Pirate's Parrot Day, and so that goes in there, and that will cover me till Halloween. I'm not a big Halloween person, so pirate seems like a good thing to leave up through Halloween. And after that, it's Thanksgiving, so I do Strut and Tom from Lindy Stitches, 3 words to live by: happy, giving, or happy, thanks, and giving. And so I'm kind of, you know, when there's square, what I'm looking for is something square like this that I can put some words next to it usually, and that's worked out. And then Christmas comes around, we do the December dance, Blue-Footed Boobies, also by Lindy Stitches. So I needed something for Easter. So when I picked that up, I thought, oh, that will suit the bill great. Then I started looking at fabric that I have, and you know, it's getting close to Easter, I better get this started, and because I wanted to be able to put it up this season. And so the chicken, though, I don't know, he doesn't look particularly springy. The original colors are 729 is the chicken, and the 304 is the red things, and 500 is the lettering, and 712 is the head and the beak. I kept the 712, and then black is the feet, and around the eggs, the polka dots or the eggs inside the chicken, I guess. I don't know. So, but then I started looking at fabric that I had, and I had this kind of a, it's actually more of a purple than it's showing, purpley blue. This is Blue Jay. What's the name of it? It's not on here. I think it's called Blue Jay. Jay, just Jay. And that wasn't bad, but the colors that I was going to use for it didn't look like they'd be great. I had this yellow that I liked a lot as well, but I thought the chicken wasn't going to show up real great on that one. And then I had this kind of minty green, and I wanted to use this because I started doing the math and figuring out, you know, how big this chicken is, and I really needed a 32 count because the 28 count was just going to be a little too, or a 14 count was going to be a little too big for the frame. And when I had originally gotten this fabric, I don't even know that this is cross-stitch fabric. I found it at a rummage sale or somewhere, and I mean, it's stitchable, it's very schlubby, it's a linen, it's possible, I mean, the edges are almost finished, so it's possible it's a table napkin. I don't know, I could stitch on it, but it was pretty schlubby. and I counted it wrong. I thought this was 32 count. I put a little label on it when I counted it when I first got it, and it wasn't. And so I started stitching this guy and realized after I'd done all the math to figure if he was going to finish and fit, maybe it wasn't going to work out. So I'm going to have to do a couple changes. One thing I did is I shortened the legs by 1 stitch. So here's what I've got so far. I shortened the legs by 1 stitch. I took out a row across the middle here to shorten, I think, right along here. And then I was going to shorten up the tail feathers that go up top here. Well, when I got to stitching, I thought I'm almost to the end of where the tail feathers are going to fit. So what I'm going to do is just kind of do some, I think, back stitching, just kind of make them kind of like, you know how feathers kind of go like that. I'll just do back stitches or solid stitches like that. And so there's my headless chicken. And let me just close up look. And as I was saying, it's kind of a loose weave, so I had to do three strands. I haven't stitched with 3 strands since the 90s, I don't think so. But choices I made on colors are 745, and the blue is 809, and like I said, the 712 I'm keeping for the inside thing, and then I used 3011. I'm not sure if this is even a DMC. I think this is some weird color I got. And I think I might do the tail with kind of a combination of these kind of corally colors. And then the name I'm going to put next to it, I'm going to, I think, use 210 and 3819 to kind of complete the pastel look. I think I'm going to make him fit. We'll find out. Her, because she's laying eggs. And then I'm going to say spring chicken next to it. And I'm going to make, I did the font to make it look kind of springy, kind of coiled up. And that way he can not just be Easter, but he can also be spring. So. And I like to do a seal of approval. I like to recommend somebody that fits with the theme. And so for Chatelaines, I want to recommend Lori, who is Sharky Stitcher, and she does quite a few Chatelaines. And she is big into colors, so if you like a lot of bright, vibrant colors and fabrics and those kinds of things, she has done some of that stuff. So she is good to watch. She's got some educational information out there about how she works on her Chatelaines, and so I recommend you check Lori Sharky Stitcher out. That's what I have for today, and my next video is going to be about travel tips. I'm the Traveling Stocking Stitcher, so I figured I would go through some travel tips. People go to retreats, and I think it's the kind of thing that people are kind of intimidated about. They usually don't travel alone, or maybe they don't travel much at all, and what advice do you have? And I've done some traveling, so I've got some suggestions for what you might want to do. So everything from how to book flights, and how to search for flights, and what to pack, and so tune in next time, and we'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.